Cubism, stolen art, and we have a very special guest with us tonight on Genius. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
All the lights
and everything.
So epic.
How's it going, guys? Welcome. This is Genius episode 6 on AFTERBUZZ. We have a very special guest with us today. Let's get into it. My name is Zach Silverman. Panel, go down the line.
Oh, hey guys. I'm just guest hosting today. What's up? My name is Candace Cruz.
I'm Alex Rich. Hi. How you doing?
And last,
I'm Mina Wahab.
awesome. Guys, we have Alex on, young Picasso. How amazing is this? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
We were so lucky to have you join and watch episode 6 with us.
Yeah.
What an
thanks.
episode it was it not?
It was.
You actually didn't see it, you said.
Yeah, but I saw it with you guys.
Obviously, it was amazing. We loved it. He had such great reactions to everything.
Yeah,
So
I
let's
was
let's get into it. What did everyone think of the episode? Let's get into some reactions. You know, I'm looking right at you, girl. It's all on you.
There have been like delayed reactions with me like throughout the course of this day today.
It's been a long day. We're all tired. We get it.
No,
So what were your thoughts?
I loved it. I love every episode though. So I love how they go back and forth from young Picasso to old Picasso. And how like they kind of show in this episode how success kind of changes you.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a
that's
good take
true.
on
True
it. I like
that,
that. Yeah, seriously, Candace.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I really love the character dynamics within the entire show. And I really love, I think we commented about it a lot, but the different overlays of how they
Oh
cut
my God,
everything
it's
together
amazing.
and flawlessly intertwine.
Props to
his
the
life,
editors
so-
on this show because they intertwine the love and like the hate between whatever's going on from young to old, and that's just like it's amazing. I love it. Yeah, this episode was great. We had a little bit less time jumps. We were kind of stuck between 1908 to 1911 for young Picasso, and then I think we were just in 1946 when we were with older Picasso. Got a little bit more in depth with Antonio Banderas' love life with Ferdinand. Yeah, but let's get right into 1908. We start off and we have Picasso. Man, he's struggling with the Cubism. He's struggling with his painting.
True that.
Nobody likes it.
This is actually the one period of Picasso I really love because there have been a lot of paintings I've seen by Picasso that are considered works of art where I just don't get it. But with his Cubist period, the whole Cubism period, I think it's so great because it shows so much dimension within the painting, like a lot of contrast between light and dark, and I just love it.
Well, I think this is what like really. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, go ahead.
I think this is like the period that really set him forth to become who he is as an artist, and we kind of see that in the sense of where he's going from the shambles of that little rickety
Bateau
home.
Lavoir.
Yeah, he was living with. Man, I always mess up these names with Ferdinand.
Ferdinand.
To he's gotten this lavish, nice home.
Yeah. I think what's really lovely about Cubism is I think that's his departure into genius because it takes a real perspective switch to see the world as he does to paint Cubist paintings, and he and Brock like developed this style together, and it was revolutionary because in history they paint what's real.
Yeah.
Like, they try to recreate life, but photography came
Right,
in.
we've had that, yeah.
and messed that up.
We had a great quote by him. He's like, "Why paint something that we get in photos now? Like we gotta bend art, bend the rules." Which we kind of got. We got that prior in the last episode, and now this episode he's taking it to a whole new level with line, sight. There's perspective, a bunch of other rules where he's like, we have to break them all, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And there's that nice little scene where they're sitting in the cafe together.
Yeah,
They did
and you see
amazing work with. I really love the
With
way,
Brock?
yeah, with Brock. I love the way the cinematographers and everything put it together to see what kind of initially what you would be seeing. Obviously,
Yeah.
like, we see it through your eyes, and
It's kind of like Inception. I mean, they like move it all
yeah,
forward and
it's amazing.
twists, and it's nice.
It's it's great. So we get the introduction of Cubism with Brock, and you did a little dirty.
Yeah, a
You're
little bit.
almost like, you know what? I like what you're doing here, but let's have you host your artwork first before mine.
Well,
Like,
Here's the
if this
thing.
doesn't work out, it's not on me. But if it does, I recommended it.
yeah, well, not
Not you.
yes, but like Brock and I were cohorts. We were creating a new style together, and Matisse and I were rivals. So what was nice is that Brock really developed Cubism with me. So when we were trying to get into the Autumn Salon, and Matisse was a judge, I could go through Brock to get the work scene in theory, which obviously didn't pan out because
he was
Matisse was like,
he caught on real quick.
nope, you work with that dude. Don't
Brock
like that dude.
was Matisse's protege.
Yeah. Well,
Or not protege.
Brock was Matisse's protege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting how you and him start to pair up and come together.
Yeah, because originally I think that Brock was presented as a threat because he was kind of like the scout to see what I was doing to report back to Matisse, and then we became friends and we developed Cubism together, and then he went back to Matisse, and that rivalry, which you also see with the Steins, you know, like they paired us together to try to like have us rival each other and push ourselves further.
I'm so happy that these people in our life exist to like be able to push Picasso and Matisse to do these things, because without them, I mean, the work of arts would have never been made. You know? It's
sometimes it takes a patron.
Yes, it does. Which we've seen a few. The beginning of the episode starts off with the one gentleman who kind of almost ridicules. What is the name of the painting that we saw last episode?
Les Demoiselles d'Avignon?
Yeah.
Like the one with the
masks. Yes. Yeah.
Les Demoiselles d'Avignon.
Yeah, and we start off with the gentleman. I forgot his name, but he was almost ridiculing Picasso and
Leo Stein.
Yeah, no,
With
not
the
Leo
beard?
Stein. No. It was the beginning of the episode. It was the younger gentleman.
Who we saw
Conviler?
later.
Yeah, who we saw later, who then bought like a bunch.
Conviler.
Yeah, Conviler.
Yeah.
The names are just so much to
Yeah,
remember.
it's a lot of history.
Yeah, it's a lot of history, but I love it. It's so good. Where was I going with that thought? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing about Les Demoiselles d'Avignon is that people hated it for a decade. And then they started to realize that it was a really important work of art, and it became one of Picasso's most famous paintings.
Yeah.
But for 10 years or more, he like hid it because he got so shamed by the people who saw it, like the
His
Steins
closest
and
friends, his lover, Apollinaire, everybody who like just saw him as this like god, just like brought him back down to earth. Like, no, you
But isn't
lost
that
it.
the works of like creating a masterpiece too as well? You have to have those people that do balance you, that do contradict and call out the flaws in order to make you better.
Yeah, to keep working hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it really was like what it was. I didn't realize it was 10 years. That gentleman had said like, I love it, but it's
Nobody's
way
gonna understand it yet.
until which is so awesome to like.
Go cut off your ear. You'll be fine.
Just
go ahead.
Go be Van Gogh. Try it out. See
all
how
that
it feels.
all that talk was like really hurting him. You know, we saw so much of him smoking opium, a lot more with Ferdinand, and his friends started to shun him. You know, what was your thoughts on all that? Like, what do you think?
About which part specifically?
Just like the opium use and like how he got downward spiraled almost because he had like the death of his friend in the prior episode. His artwork is being ridiculed where like he's like, I put my whole life into this and now nobody likes it. Like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah. I mean, I think he always struggles with doubt, especially, I mean, young Picasso specifically struggles a lot with self-doubt and, you know, needing people to kind of validate his work. And when they don't, he acts like he doesn't care because they just can't see greatness or acknowledge it. And it's so interesting to see the difference between a young Picasso and older Picasso who really doesn't take anyone else's opinions into consideration. I feel like older Picasso almost has a better sense of self, but you see more of a developed ego with older Picasso.
He's more like a child though, older Picasso.
He is, but younger Picasso projects this personality where he doesn't care, but he secretly really, really cares what people think of his paintings, and that's where he gets that work ethic from, where he wants to be better, he wants to be the best. He doesn't want to be compared to anyone else or say that he drew any sort of inspiration from anyone. He wants to be the mastermind behind every creation. So I think it kind of speaks to his character and how, you know, he has that longing to be kind of worshipped as an idol.
Yeah, so much. Well,
yeah.
we actually get a break in all this in a sense where he takes a step back in this episode. Young Picasso takes a step back and he comes across a painting in one of those shops, and he finds
As
out
he's
the
looking for
artist,
opium.
as he's looking for
A
opium.
pipe to-
Yeah,
yeah.
right, pipe.
Rousseau's painting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rousseau, and we discover the artist Rousseau, who is this like older gentleman who isn't quite all there in the head, but he's like so loving, and I'm like seeing him like, oh, it's like my grandfather. I just want to like sit down and listen to old stories of what you have to say.
Yeah.
And it was so nice of Picasso to, I mean, he kind of did it selfishly to like throw him a party, because
Well, I think what you
Yeah.
said is brilliant. I think that he he really was searching for acceptance and also to have a platform for his work to be known.
Yeah.
So when he met Rousseau, he's using his history and his life and his art to do for Rousseau what he wants to be done for him, which Ferdinand calls out.
Yeah.
She was like, are you talking
Hardcore.
about? She was like, you talking about you, or are you talking about?
I don't know if you guys caught
him?
it, but his painting was in the back.
Yeah.
And I think one of the steins was like, oh, his masterpiece. And it was like slightly covered and whatnot. I almost thought he was gonna like show it at the party. I was like, oh,
Nah.
it's so dirty.
Yeah, the thing about Picasso was he recognized how important the secrecy was, and he wasn't going to show his work to Matisse or to the Steins because they would have convinced Matisse, for example, to
do something like
to do
that.
something
Yeah,
with it.
which is good.
So he
Yeah.
protected his intellectual property. But what was nice with Rousseau was that you've got an older artist who, like you said, is kind of losing his mind and creativity and creating really interesting and brilliant work, but not traditional work.
Not at all. And we have Apollinaire being painted by him, and they're like laughing at him, scoffing at the work. He's like, oh, I'm gonna hang it above my my
Chamber
toilet,
pot,
my
yeah.
chamber pot.
Because everyone needs a good laugh while they take a piss.
Exactly.
Yes.
Perfect quote. I love
Thank
it. Yeah.
you.
And Picasso was
Picasso
like, for real?
recognizes- Yeah, he
Yeah.
recognizes the beauty in what he's doing, and I think this is what makes Picasso so amazing, because he could see beyond what traditional lines have taught.
Yeah, I think what's also nice is that Picasso was looking at more than just representing the reality, and he was. This is an emotional experience.
Yeah.
Rousseau was transforming what was in front of him with Marie Laurencin and with Apollinaire, and painting them as he saw them, not as they actually were. And he was like, "It's a perfect likeness, right?"
I love that little scene between them, and Picasso was just like living in it with him. He's like,
Yeah, he saw it. He was like, actually, yep. That like that's hilarious.
I think that
love
was
it.
probably something that helped led Picasso to become who he is, and you know, live in the world of like, I don't need to be confined to this box of how painting is.
Right.
Like, more people are doing something, stepping outside of it. I understand your perspective, and I'm going to continue with this.
Exactly. And that's how he got into Cubism, where he was like, I'm going to take this thing that Brock showed me, and I'm going to go the distance and really transform what I see in front of me and paint cubes and like get rid of perspective, which is the one thing that all
was
paintings
amazing.
have.
Yeah, he's like, the line of sight, I think it was. Let's just get rid of it completely.
Yeah, the vanishing point.
Vanishing point, that's what it was. Yeah.
He's like, I'm just not going to do that. And that's a real transformation in painting, where when you get rid of the distance and you pull everything forward.
Everything forward as if it was just right in front of your
completely
face.
transforms
Yeah.
the image.
And we had some cool paintings we got to see. I actually have a question for you. On set, we get to see, well, not on set, but in the show, we're seeing tons of beautiful artwork from Picasso, Rousseau, Matisse.
Yep.
Are any of those paintings real? Any of these donated? Can you speak to that?
So, I mean, we don't have like the real
Okay.
paintings, but the paintings that you see are the actual. I
Yeah.
mean, they're
Okay, they're just
Replicas,
replicas
essentially.
of it.
yeah.
Oh my
They
God, that would
can't
be
have
expensive.
like a $20 million painting like
Well,
on
hey,
set.
you never know. I mean, you could have had something donated, for
Yeah.
a
That's a great
special
question.
scene, you know.
Yeah, we can't do that because something could go wrong.
could go wrong,
I
lights,
could
yeah.
fall and like elbow a painting and
You were pretty
destroy
close
like
to the paintings a lot of times. You're actually scraping away and going on it. So
yeah.
like,
So we're
okay,
not gonna.
I can see why they wouldn't actually give you.
yeah.
Don't question my idea.
I was like, I wish they did, but that would be horrible. I would have been like, I can't act. Like, too many important things around me, and I'm not gonna touch anything. But no, the what was nice is that in researching the role and in participating in this Genius Picasso series, I got to learn a lot about the different paintings that come about, and I got to see them
There's
and
different periods and everything.
different periods. I was able to do research and figure out how things intersected with Picasso's life. It was brilliant, but no real paintings.
How long did that process actually take you? Because
The
that's the research. Because I mean, it's not just creating a character from nothing. You're literally becoming a living, breathing person. And
Yeah.
how much, like, where did you get a lot of your research from? All of that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, having a real person was easier because we had videos. We had I learned a lot from these books that John Richardson wrote, which are based on Picasso's life, and they're textbooks. They're really huge
I can imagine.
books.
Right.
So if I ever had a scene that I didn't know that much about, I could find it very easily in those books. But what was most useful for me was Fernand's diary, because
You did get something of that of sorts. That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's published. Like so there's Fernand's diary and there's Francois Gillot's diary,
Right.
or her memoir
Right.
about Picasso. For me, Fernand, who's played by Aisling Franciosi, is lovely because I got to see it day by day, like all the little nuance that he did to charm her, and the things that he did as a person that either upset her or affected her or charmed her. And that was incredibly informative because I got to see the person behind the history.
Right.
Richardson was a lot more of the history, but that was more of like an emotional experience. So I found out a lot while we were shooting, because the scripts are extraordinarily well researched,
Yeah.
and I would look up whatever needed to happen that day if I didn't know about it in one of those two sources. And it kind of happened while we were shooting.
That's even
kinda
better,
how it
I feel like.
yeah, you just find the magic in the moment.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes.
It was a lot.
Now, there's no accent. I have before meeting you. I just kind of thought this guy's got the accent and everything.
Well,
He
that's
did an
nice.
amazing job at it.
Thank
Sometimes
you.
accents are a little hard to pull off. And was that a sit down with Antonio Banderas at all, where you guys can kind of like align how you're going to be? Because obviously there's a transformation of young to old.
Right.
You kind of want it to be in line.
Yeah. So that was lovely. It was lovely to have Antonio there because he's from Malaga, which is the same place that Picasso's from.
That's right. We heard about that.
Yeah. So his accent is Pablo's accent.
Okay.
And we also had dialect
Authentic.
coaches. Yep.
Yeah.
In on set. So I was able to collaborate both with Antonio and the dialect coaches and hear sounds that I wouldn't have been able to hear on my own.
Okay.
To like fix and address, and things that made me sound American versus
Yeah.
from Malaga. That was one of my biggest concerns. I did not want to do a disservice to the Spanish accent and to the Spaniards that love and grew up with Picasso.
Right.
So really tried hard.
Trust me, you did a great job.
It paid off for
It
sure.
really paid off.
Thanks.
And you like embodied Antonio as well. Like I'll watch scenes, and especially when the cut scenes go from young to old so much, it's so canny how like you just I would if I never knew you two people as actors, I would think like if this wasn't a TV show, oh, that was him when he was younger, and this is him when he's older, and I'm just like you did a great job.
You're gonna make me blush.
Blush, please, blush. Go ahead. That's why you're on
I was
the
like, it's
show.
on camera. I'm looking
There you
down
go.
the lens as my cheeks turn red. Yeah, no, Antonio was lovely to work with because we were traveling together. I was able to visit him on set and vice versa, and we could take pieces from both of our performances and try to build,
Build from it, yeah.
continuity and through lines.
That's amazing.
Between young and old. So there were things that he was doing which I loved and thought were brilliant and tried desperately to like build into my own performance. And I think vice versa,
Yeah.
it was a collaborative effort, and he's an open and incredibly collaborative person. So I just got really, really lucky to be able to work with him. He's so established in such a
he's
big
power.
And for him to be humble and open enough to collaborate was mind-boggling.
Nice.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, if you're definitely wanting to learn and grow and have some fun in your life, just like all of this, I feel like this show is like so indicative of what Maria's podcast really is. For those of you who do, we have a podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos podcast edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. So Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of your life. You can become your own genius by listening to the podcast. Look at that right
Nice
there.
little plug.
From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more, let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. We all like free. And be sure to rate and comment. And when you do, let her know that the genius after show sent you there. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. Check it out.
Check it out.
Lovely.
Yes,
Lovely.
there you go.
Right? Guys, there's so much more that happened in between 1908 to 1911. I mean, we had this, finally, you put down the pipe with the opium.
Yeah.
We
When
got
Vigils committed suicide.
God, it was such a powerful scene, man.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you shared a little
Yeah.
bit about that day on set. What was that like? Because that's like
It
such
was-
a riveting scene.
I was not
low-key
seeing that, by the way. Like, you, like,
super
bashing
rough.
him like that. I didn't realize that was going to happen. That
Yeah.
took me off guard. And he, like, I feel like has death following him.
Yeah, he does. And Picasso, like, is totally scared of death.
Yeah.
Like,
It's his mortality. He wants
his
to live
mortality is-
forever in his paintings, and he knows death is coming for him.
Yeah. So when Vigils commits suicide, and he feels like he's responsible for it. I mean, he's lost his sister. He's lost Casagemas at Vigils. It's like everybody. He just loses a lot of people. So, for me as the actor, seeing Vigils like hanging in the studio was not comfortable.
It was
Did
probably
not.
a tough day
I
for
was like,
you.
I did not love that.
Yeah.
Because he did it so well that I was like,
Like, oh my God, please somebody help him out.
yeah, I was like,
But
can
it did
we
the
take
point. I
him
mean,
down?
it led it led Picasso to like change and finally like put down the pipe and see the jerk that he was, and that was having an effect on him and his relationship and
Very true.
and his artwork even. I mean, he wasn't painting, and finally he went and visited Brock.
Yeah.
And got to see how much he's flourished and what he's been doing.
Yeah, and I think that pissed him off. He was like, "Please don't be better than I am."
So he doesn't want anybody to be
So
better
he's like,
than him.
"I'm gonna take this and level up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Level up. I like that.
Oh, one up.
Like,
One of that.
like Mario.
Yeah, right? In the midst of all this, we get Pierre coming back into town.
Yeah.
Now, I thought Pierre was going to be a lover of Apollinaire. The way that was portrayed in the beginning of seeing him, it was very little risque. And then we got to see that he has some sticky fingers.
Yeah, he's got some sticky fingers. Pure is like, he gets Pablo into trouble.
Yeah.
And
Well, we have the Mona Lisa that's stolen in this episode.
Yeah.
First, he goes and steals a statue, which prior to that, we have 2 other statues stolen, and he sold to Pablo. Didn't even give it to him as a gift. He sold it to him.
$50 finder's fee.
Yeah, like, come on. This is supposed to be your friend. And Picasso and Apollinaire get blamed for stealing the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. I mean, and what's interesting is that all of this is based in history. So you can,
This is all
you
very
can look
factual.
It up.
Yeah.
It really did happen. But Pierre put the blame on Pablo and Apollinaire, and
He was so stupid in that moment. I was so upset with Apollinaire. He's a smart man. And to say, like, I'll go to the newspaper too, and I'll just give it back, and nothing will be, like, my
but,
name
like,
will be, anonymous.
you know, it's a high pressure situation. I mean, I can't judge him. I think that I might have done the same thing. If you're like, look, he did this for Pierre. Like, the newspaper was like, bruh, it's fine. Like, if you sacrifice these people, we're good.
Yeah.
So for Apollinaire, he was like, at Pablo's suggestion, he was like, oh yeah, like, I'll go and I'll
Sweet talk him. Get him.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a poet. He's got a way with words.
Got away with words.
He's like, I'll take the fall. We'll be good. And Pablo was like, I live your best life. But
So that was very indicative of the second episode, or no, maybe the third episode, when the gentleman came to older Picasso and was just like, you need to sign this for Max.
oh yeah.
And it just goes to show how selfish Pablo has always been. At even a young age, he's like, he even made a comment, I've worked so hard to get here, and I'm not going to let anyone get in my way.
Yeah. I think with that scene with Max and the Holocaust, Pablo he was just pissed that Max didn't listen to him.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't think it was that he was trying to sacrifice Max or cause Max
not
any
at
trouble.
all.
He was like, he should have listened to
He
me.
should have, but he was also looking out for his own butt.
I mean, I kind of argue with all of you guys right now.
Yeah,
because,
by all means.
I mean, from a game theory perspective, say Picasso turns himself in as well. What good is that going to do? Then 2 people are in jail.
True.
What can he really do in that situation? Because the basic prisoner's dilemma is, okay, if I tell on you, then I'm safe. If I turn myself in, we both go share half the time in jail, whatever. If I don't
But
say
who's gonna do
anything,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course it's so easy to criticize, but what other alternative was there?
Yeah. Also, like, Pablo didn't know how it was going to play out. So he was like, he thought he could distance himself from Apollinaire, and Apollinaire could go in and be like, it was me. Or, like, he could just handle it and return the statues, and Picasso would not have been involved. But it didn't work out that way, and Apollinaire was beaten into submission. Like, so he admitted to things that he didn't do.
Yeah, exactly.
And
maybe Pablo kind of had foresight to know what was going to happen, because he had mentioned prior, he's like, we're Spaniards, or I'm a Spaniard, you're not from Paris, like they're not going to approach things the same way as they would.
Yeah.
And I think maybe, I mean, my point to all this is that Pablo Picasso is kind of a coward.
No, I don't agree. I
I don't either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear.
I mean, for me personally, it's his ambition. That's not cowardliness. That's just being a smart individual. Like, it's survival of the fittest in a sense. And like,
to stay with and make sure his art will prevail, so that he can, and he will.
of
be
course,
around
he's looking
to
at the
do
greater
that.
picture.
Yeah, he's looking at
Yes,
the
but also at the same time, any driven person is going to ultimately make sacrifices for the greater good of where they're trying to get to. So whatever sacrifice
that
that
is a
may
heavy
be,
sacrifice that he had to make right there.
yes. However, he hopes that the relationship, I think, would withstand all of that.
I don't
Anyway,
think-
Also, with Apollinaire, he really didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
he was like, when Apollinaire volunteered to turn in the statues, he was like, okay, he's going to turn the statues. He's not going to be in the
Yeah, what he
thing,
was
I'm gonna be
saying kind of
distanced.
made sense. He's like, okay, this might work.
Yeah, and then it didn't turn out that way. I
and
don't
also,
think it was conscious.
didn't Apollinaire go in saying that he was going to keep Pablo out of it?
Yes.
So the fact that Pablo ended up in jail means that he went against his word to begin with. So
Yeah.
technically, they're doing tit for
Because he
tat.
was.
No, that's- I agree
that's
with
true.
that,
I forgot about that
100%.
point. He
You
did kind
know?
of rat on
Because
him
I
in the
feel
end.
like if Apollinaire is bringing Picasso into this situation
Exactly.
and he's looking out for his own interest, why should Picasso take the bullet for someone who isn't necessarily a genuine friend? Maybe he's the type of friend where they're fun friends and they're bar friends. He's a poet. They're both artists. I mean, you only do that for someone who is like...
Well, the way I took it was
more-
it seemed like Apollinaire was kind of stepping up to be like, I will take this, because I think Apollinaire recognized who Pablo Picasso will become in his artwork. And I think he was just like, you cannot, have dirty your hands, so let me do this for you. And in turn, hopefully, something will come back around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
but
situation
you can't
blew
do
out of
something
proportion.
selfless for someone and expect something
I don't
in
think he was
return.
expecting anything in return. I
Yeah.
just think he stood up to the plate to be like, you're bigger than I am.
Let's also not lose sight of being beaten.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
changes
police-
that changes the whole thing as well.
I think
Yeah.
I think Apollinaire probably went in with the best intentions.
He
He,
did.
was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna clear this. We'll be done. And then the police were like, nope. Here's a punch in the face and the gut, and I'm gonna beat you
Right.
into confession. That, like, there's no way to do that without, like, I mean, he put Pablo on the line because he had no choice.
Yeah.
I don't think it made him a bad friend or anything. It's like, if somebody's beating me or waterboarding me, and they're like, tell us who you were working with,
Yeah.
and he's like, I wasn't working with anyone, and they like punch you again, and they go in, eventually you're gonna break
You're gonna
down.
break down a little bit.
It's under
yeah.
duress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can,
I do love at the end of the episode, though, we got that little diatribe of, they were exonerated of their name, and
Yeah.
a real thief was caught, but was in prison for,
yeah.
didn't even say too
short
long, a short
sentence.
sentence.
Yeah. Pablo didn't do it.
Mona Lisa wasn't that popular at the time, I guess, either.
Oh, it was.
Was it?
Oh, it was. I mean,
Yeah.
why
It was
would you
popular
do all
enough,
of that
but-
against someone if it
No, it
wasn't
was.
that
They were like,
big
we
of a
will
deal?
find you anywhere.
Cool.
Yeah.
To find the
to
Mona
know.
Lisa. No, well,
I mean,
they like she
she
like
said,
Ferdinand
yeah,
says that
they'll
she's
travel
like
across the
they're
world.
gonna
Yeah.
go anywhere to find you.
Very true.
It would be like stealing.
The Mona Lisa nowadays.
Yeah. So then I guess we wrap up 1911 with a little love interest with Ferdinand and this new painter.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys' thoughts
Opie.
on that? Opie.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of the outing of Ferdinand and the separation between her and Picasso.
I mean, it's gonna come back to bite her, but I mean,
It
Of course,
does do that.
she's,
obviously, yeah.
she's obviously lonely. What is she gonna do? I mean, there was a very telling scene earlier where the painter that she
Opie.
came to
Opie.
get, what's his name?
OPPI. Opie.
Oh, okay, like
Yeah.
opium. Okay.
Ding ding.
Look at that.
Well then.
So Opie came into the picture and made a reference to Picasso about how it's really hard to get to know him, and
Yeah, and she's
she
living with
commented,
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. It
She's sipping a
honestly
martini.
is.
She's like, yep.
So I just thought that was really interesting. It kind of showed how the dynamic had changed between Fernand and Picasso, and you can tell that they're drifting apart because, I mean, if you're really successful don't forget the people who were there with you when you needed a muse and you had no muse and you needed someone for inspiration. Fernand was there. Now that you have exactly what you want, you're gonna throw her to the side.
Yeah.
Well, and I think she's a free spirit as well. Like what happened is they've got a decade together. So they met when he was young.
Yeah.
And she was young, and she was finding her way and he was finding his way, and I think that he really loved her. And then as they grew and like flourished, they grew apart. Fernand was her own spirit. I mean, she slept with Opie and had her own thing going on, and Pablo was sleeping with other people, but he's also a jealous dude, you know?
So jealous. And I guess that's going to be coming out in the next episode too.
Yeah. We even saw that with older Picasso in this episode
Oh my God,
as well.
Yeah. Let's jump to 1946. We have older Picasso and Francois on a little vacation away from everything.
Yeah.
80
Dora's
kilometers away from
Dora's
the
house
beach.
with scorpions.
Oh my God. What was your thoughts on all this? Like, it was just one bad thing after the next. Like, he's like, let me whisk you away to this like beautiful like little vacation, and we're in Dora's house. There's scorpions. Like, they're 80 kilometers away from the actual beach. You know, she's like stuck and can't paint, and all he wants to do is have fun. You know?
Yeah. You know, what do you...
Oh, no, I was just saying, I mean, like, he wants a companion there for whenever he's bored, but he's gonna do his own thing and have fun, and when he gets bored, he'll want someone at his every whim fancy. And I think that's very selfish. I think, I mean, not all men, but a lot of men are like that, where they kind of, like, either expect, like, the woman to function as a therapist or a caretaker, but when the roles are reversed, they can't be there for them in the same way, and they give very terse advice, or they can't be as emotionally available, and that's the part that I think is selfish. Like, you can't bring someone with you and expect them to just come with you and accompany you, and then abandon them when you're at your fun Bastille Day event running around town.
Where you're blowing trumpets.
Yeah.
I think that Pablo was constantly seeking inspiration, and with that comes the sacrifice of other people's expectations and what they want from him and the relationships that they're envisioning. And he dealt a lot with younger people who are coming up in their own world, and he's this beacon, he's this successful artist for Francoise. You know, he's the example of what she wants to example of what she wants to do. But for Bastille Day, you know, he's like a child. I mean, he's a jealous
He
person.
runs
He's
off.
like,
He's having fun with the horn. Oh, honey, this is just for men. You go off, do your own thing.
right.
It's
He's
just
like he wants her. He wants her.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to give her everything.
Well, he doesn't want to until she finally like gets up and like walks away, and
And he's like, that's mine though.
yeah. It's just, as far as like to the point where he's like, let's have a baby, let's make something together. That's what's missing in our life, is like, let's make some art together, and the art is a baby. And
Yeah,
it's just like,
he does that with Olga too, which we'll see later in the series, like his
Spoilers.
first wife. No, I mean, it's all history.
Yeah,
but like
I
his
know.
first
I know.
He
wife.
did that with
Right.
Fernand as well, with
Yeah.
getting a child to adopt. And I mean, is that his solution for every problem? Let's just bring another human into the mix.
Yeah.
And that should make everything
Pretty
easy
much.
for you.
The adoption of his daughter with
oh, that was so
with
heartbreaking.
Fernand was
oh my
like,
God.
yikes.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was like a Les Miserables scene.
yeah, to
So
return a child to an
depressing.
It
orphanage.
was horrible.
I can't even imagine. Like, it's just, he wanted to give. He loved
His
Fernand.
intentions were in the right place. At
He
that
loved
point.
her.
Yeah.
He loved her desperately, and he wanted to give her what she couldn't have, which was a child. So they went and they got a
Adopted.
child. And then the realization that this was a horrible place to raise a kid, Bateau Lavoir, which would be like the slums of whatever city.
Yeah.
It's like, yikes. And then to give her back? I can't even imagine.
Such a short time. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's get into some. We have some news, and then we also have our segment picture of the day, which Alex kind of like inspired, and it was also featured in. It was also featured in tonight's episode. We have Tony, if you could bring it up, please. It's called "House in the Garden." It was featured.
I do love this.
Yeah, it was featured in tonight's episode. It was part of the Cubism movement, and. Yeah, you had mentioned this is one of your favorite paintings.
Yeah,
And
it really is.
Please talk about it. What inspires you about it?
What I love about this painting, I'm looking at it on the screen. What I love about it is that it really kind of shows the transition from realism to cubism, because you see exactly what they're talking about. It's a house in a garden.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the perspective is moved forward, and you get like cubes as they're brought up. So one, I think it's aesthetically beautiful. Two, I think it transfers well between the two styles. And if you notice, so what I love about cubism is that it kind of goes against time.
Yeah.
So the left side of the house has a different light source than the top of the house has a different light source than the left part of the roof.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So you cross a bunch of different time barriers,
I love
which
that.
I think is
I
brilliant.
didn't even realize about that.
Yeah.
And it kind of features that on the right side too, on the bottom as well.
Exactly.
Wow.
I think that's a brilliant part of cubism,
at
is
that.
that
That's a
it's
good
time
eye.
traveling.
How much did you study all of these pieces? Were there specific pieces that were featured that you had to like know an extensive amount about, or did you just on your own will as part of this be like, I really want to learn more about these pieces?
Yeah, I think both. I mean, we had a 2-week break for the holidays in December. And right after that was when we were going to film the segments about Cubism. And so I was reading a lot about Cubism, and I was kind of looking around my house, and I started to kind of envision what Cubism was doing.
Right.
And I think that's where Picasso's genius lies, because to time travel in that way and to distort perspective and to represent reality in a way that's emotional but also transformative was incredible. So I did a lot of research on that because I found that fascinating. I also did a lot of research on specific paintings like Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, which was really credited as the start of Cubism because he distorts people's faces. And what was nice was that I got to meet the people as we went through. So I got to meet Ferdinand, and I got to meet Marie Therese and Papa Delevingne and Dora Maar and Sam Colley, and I got to meet the muses as I researched the art.
That's
so
amazing.
Seeing the art and the people who are portraying the subjects was really exciting for me.
Out of all the different periods, like the Blue period, the Cubism movement, what's your favorite?
I think
tough one.
it is tough because this series is called Genius, and we're celebrating the intelligence and the foresight and the creativity of a person who broke all the molds. I think that Cubism represents that. That said, what people don't realize about Picasso is his early work, where he had mastered realism.
Yeah.
Like he could do Renaissance art in a heartbeat. You know, with like Science and Charity, he's depicting the reality of a scene with such talent and such nuance. I think that that's incredible at 14, or to have that clarity of vision and that talent is underrepresented in the story of Picasso. But I think that the departure from what was known in Cubism is the real genius.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We have some special news also. A nice little nod to you. Why don't you take it over, Mina?
Yeah.
That soundbite.
So the Hollywood Reporter came out with the Feinberg forecast, and this is kind of the forecast that comes before the Emmy nominations, which is actually coming up in 2 weeks. And Alex was actually mentioned as a major threat for his role in this series.
I mean, how could he not? Look at the performance he's been putting on all season. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's lovely.
So
We're
this is
so thankful to have you.
Best Supporting Actor in a Limited Series. Or best,
No, I'm still like adjusting to the concept that people are even talking about it. It's my first lead in anything, so I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Me?
Right.
This guy? I'm gonna hide under the table and hope for the best.
It makes perfect sense. We wish you all the best with it. We
thanks.
fingers crossed that you get nominated and win.
When you give your acceptance speech, you need to do
gonna
it
talk
in the
about
Picasso accent.
Oh,
Please, yes, that would be
the
awesome.
Spanish accent.
Stay in
That'd be
character.
so cool.
That would
Just
be cool.
flip it right in the middle.
Yeah, right.
People that don't know.
Yeah.
We're just like, what?
Don't be like that dude.
Oh.
That American
okay.
kid from Florida. No, that's incredible.
Well, that's
Thank you.
great news. Let's get into predictions really, really fast. What we think was going to happen next week, and then we'll do our sign off. And
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It's really spooky when they do that. Mina, why don't you start off?
Yeah, I can't say much because I've already seen
You
this.
gotta stop doing that. Come on.
She's like, I
You
can't
gotta
wait.
stop doing that.
Yeah, she's like, I already saw it though.
No,
All right.
but
Control
I
thyself.
saw it the day that we did the
Yeah.
press
Oh, that's
thing
right.
together.
You did the press thing together.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fine.
Yeah,
Alex,
but-
we're gonna have to skip you then, because you obviously know what's
No,
going
I
on.
don't.
You have no idea. Please.
Yeah.
Well, you've shot it out of sequence,
oh,
right?
Let's see what you think.
I got one spoiler. Pablo dies.
Pablo died. Oh man.
Dang it! That was my prediction.
Wow.
At some point.
At some point he dies.
Exactly. And they were like, womp womp.
Wow, wow. Would you like to add anything? There it is.
No, I'm
No?
just excited to like. How do you? This is my question for you two. How do you predict someone's life that's already existed on a show?
Well, how is the show gonna take it?
How?
Okay,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
right, okay,
Where
there
are
you
they
go.
gonna go next? So for the past 2 weeks, I've been saying Pablo's gonna shave his head. He's gonna shave his head. He's gonna shave his head, and he hasn't yet. But next week, I think he's
He
gonna
might shave his
All
head.
right, there we go.
I'm fine
There's
with
To get
that.
rid of
another
lice.
charge.
Or some like early
Some-
1900s
something,
BS.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like a movement or something. He wants to change, but
He goes to a barber.
You know, I'm kind of excited. We got to see some of the previews. We're getting more into the war that's happening, and
in Antonio's timeline?
in
Or-
Antonio's timeline. Yeah, and I think there's another war
Yeah,
that was
1
mentioned.
and 2.
1 and 2, which is going to be really exciting. I'm a huge nerd for those kind of things. So.
Yeah.
Well, that is our time, guys. It's been such a pleasure. My name is Zach Silverman. You can find me all across social media at Zach with a CH Silverman 2. Guys, why don't you go down the line and tell everyone where you can find them?
Hey everyone, I'm Mina. You can find me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic.
Oh, hey. I'm Alex, and my handles are at Alex Jordan Rich.
And thanks for letting me join you guys. My name's Candace Cruz. You can find me at Candace R. Cruz.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on, Alex. It's been a
thanks for
pleasure.
having me,
It was
guys.
great watching with you. And guys, until next time, we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.